More than 500 arrests have been made on campuses nationwide in just over a week. One of the most violent police crackdowns took place at Emory University in Atlanta Thursday. Local and state police swept onto the campus just hours after students set up tents on the quad to protest Israel's war on Gaza, as well as the planned Atlanta Police Training Center known as Cop City.
We are past the 7-month mark of this genocide. And on our campus and in our community, we have repeatedly organized peacefully to put pressure on our institutions, especially at Emory, to stop harassing and doxing students and to stop repressing speech around Palestine and to divest from the Israeli apartheid state. And every single time, Emory shuts us down. Every single time they crack down and they punish students. Every single time they silence our voices. And at some point, we decided that we no longer accept our tuition dollars and our tax money going to fund an active genocide. And that was, I think, the main motivation for a group of students and community members and faculty and graduate students coming together so powerfully in this moment to say, we just reject this. We refuse to move until Emory listens.
You know, I think we really need to have a real discussion about this, about what's going on in the Middle East, what's going on between Palestinians and Israelis, and specifically between the Palestinians and the Israeli government, because that's what is at stake here. They're not fighting another military. They're decimating an entire area. They're indiscriminately killing men, women, and children. Netanyahu is not letting any aid in, and it's not because Hamas, it's because of Netanyahu. He wants to starve them. Because if he wanted to, he could let aid in, but he doesn't want to.
The numbers provided by the United Nations Office for the Coordination of Humanitarian Affairs, OCHA, detail the extent of the misery, 1.7 million people displaced, 2.2 million at imminent risk of famine, over 60% of housing in Gaza damaged, roughly 17,000 children unaccompanied or separated from their parents, with over 1 million people now sheltering in Rafah, in southern Gaza, and only 1/3 of the water pipes coming out of Israel currently operational. According to OCHA, the need for rapid humanitarian aid into the besieged enclave is growing by the day.
I mean, since this started, he has killed 100 journalists.
These horrific attacks brought the number of humanitarian personnel killed in Gaza during the ongoing conflict to at least 224, more than 3 times as many humanitarian aid workers killed in any single conflict recorded in a single year.
Like, it's a lot. It's a lot. Bombing ambulances, bombing hospitals. Like, the mass graves that they're finding at these hospitals is beyond disgusting. And why are we okay with that? Because we sure the shit wouldn't be okay with it if it was happening on our doorstep, if it was happening to us specifically. But we're funding it, and we don't want to fund it. I don't want to fund it. I do not want to fund a g-cide. And I know the young adults of these colleges know exactly what they're doing. They are protesting, which is their American right. It is their First Amendment right to speak out and to not be silenced by the government. They are not the problem. But Netanyahu wants you to believe they're the problem.
Speaker Mike Johnson visiting the Columbia campus today.
The cherished traditions of this university are being overtaken right now by radical and extreme ideologies. I am here today joining my colleagues and calling on President Shafiq to resign if she cannot immediately bring order to this chaos. Go back to class and stop the nonsense. Stop wasting your parents' money.
Yes. Stop wasting your parents' money. Be like Mike Johnson, get into government and waste everyone's money.
It's quite a flip-flop for Republicans to be telling New York college kids to go back to their woke ideology classes. You shouldn't be intense. You should be studying essays on pornography by radical feminist Andrea Dworkin. Honestly, I can't think of anybody worse to give their opinions on how to protest the war in Gaza. Well, there is one guy.
What's happening on America's college campuses
is a rip. Anti-Semitic mobs have taken over leading universities. It's unconscionable. It has to be stopped.
Oh, thanks for taking the time to give your feedback, Benjamin Netanyahu. Is there nothing else going on with you?
Yeah, I know. This guy's like, the situation in U.S. college campuses is unacceptable. Do you see how the buildings are not rubble? I am disgusted.
Because they're anti-Semitic. But they're not. It's not anti-Semitic to be critical of the Israeli government. It just isn't. It's not anti-Semitic to not want to fund a g-cide. It just isn't.
No, Mr. Netanyahu, it is not anti-Semitic or pro-Hamas to point out that in a little over 6 months, your extremist government has killed 34,000 Palestinians and wounded more than 78,000, 70% of whom are women and children. It is not anti-Semitic to point out that your bombing has completely destroyed more than 221,000 housing units in Gaza, leaving more than 1 million people homeless, almost half the population. It is not anti-Semitic to note that your government has obliterated Gaza's civilian infrastructure, electricity, water, and sewage. It is not anti-Semitic to realize that your government has annihilated Gaza's healthcare system, knocking 26 hospitals out of service and killing more than 400 healthcare workers. It is not anti-Semitic to condemn your government's destruction of all of Gaza's 12 universities and 56 of its schools, with hundreds more damaged, leaving 625,000 students with no educational opportunities. It is not anti-Semitic to agree with virtually every humanitarian organization in saying that your government, in violation of American law, has unreasonably blocked humanitarian aid coming into Gaza, creating the conditions in which so many thousands of children face malnutrition and famine. Mr. Netanyahu, anti-Semitism is a vile and disgusting form of bigotry that has done unspeakable harm to many millions of people. But please, do not insult the intelligence of the American people by attempting to distract us from the immoral and illegal war policies of your extremist and racist government. Do not use anti-Semitism to deflect attention from the criminal indictment you are facing in the Israeli courts. It is not anti-Semitic to hold you accountable for your actions.
It degrades any real anti-Semitism that's actually going on. And it is on the rise, and it is a problem, and that needs to stop. Because it's not their fault this is happening. We cannot take out our aggression on regular people because we don't like what's going on. I don't like what's going on, but I'm not going to go hunt down some Jewish person and blame them for it because it's not their fault either. They don't have control. The only one that's in control of this is Netanyahu and his cronies. And Joe Biden, our president, and several people in Congress that just isn't. Yes, we're people on both sides of the aisle saying no to giving Israel money, absolutely. Which, I mean, is a good thing, but not enough of them because it passed. Why are we giving $26 billion to bomb more people? Why? We could use that money here. Why are we funding their war machine? Ask yourself. I don't care where you sit on the political divide. I'm a progressive. I'm very outspoken about that. We want our people to be taken care of as well. Just like I know Republicans do. Regular Republicans. I'm not talking about politicians. This has actually taught me because I've been very intentional about not making any blanket statements about what's going on over at Gaza, because I don't want my words to be used against me in a way that isn't true. Like, I'm not going to say, oh, Israel, blah, blah, blah. I'm not going to say that. I'm going to always say the Israeli government. And if I say Israel and I don't correct it, then I correct it afterwards. Because it's important to make that distinction. Because the government is not the same as the people in any government. I would not want to be punished for what United States has done. Because we've done some seriously shitty shit. Some really bad stuff we've done. And I wouldn't want to have the repercussions of that. So why would anybody want the repercussions of that? No. The people who are to blame for those things are the leaders, not the people. Because they don't have control over it either. Just like we don't have control over Biden. Because this would be a very different America if we did. And I'm condemning what Biden did the other day, coming out saying, condemning all the protesters, all the kids at the schools that are protesting as anti-Semitic and doing the wrong thing. They're doing the right thing. That's what they should be doing. They are doing what many, many kids, many young adults have done before. And I don't mean kid as in like a child. I mean, they're younger than me, and I'm old enough to call them kids now. But these young adults, they know what they're doing because they know history, and they know that anti-war for Vietnam, the protests were for lots of things, and that's our civic duty. It's our right as Americans to protest things we don't like in mass if we have to, either online or in the streets or at our school campuses or walk out of our jobs. I don't know. This is how I choose to do it. So do your protest however you need to. Get it out there. Talk about it, because that's what we need to do. Do exactly this. Put your opinion out there. Because we need more people to put their opinions out, to say this isn't okay, that I'm taking a stand. This is not okay. So I suggest that everyone stop buying anything from Israel. Stop supporting any business that's in Israel. And what company was it the other day that shut down their offices? Samsung, you beautiful company. Thank you for shutting down your offices in Israel. And I hope other companies follow suit, because we need one company to go forward. So there we go. I hope other companies in the world pull out. Shut down your offices. Don't do business with Israel while they're doing this. I don't mean forever, but I mean while they're committing g-cide. Because it's not okay. And that's how you hurt them. That's how you hurt that government, is with money. Because that's the only thing powering this war machine is money. So, and that's why Netanyahu is mad. I've seen, he's mad. I'm glad he's mad. Be mad. You know what though? I think he's scared. He's scared because there's a good chance that we can persuade our government to not support their government anymore, to not support his government anymore. I mean, Israel is there now. So I think not having an Israel would be wrong because they're already there. And also not having a Palestine is wrong because they were already there. Terrorism isn't in a vacuum. It's not created out of nothing. All the terrorists that have ever been in the world have their reasons. Often, they have reasons because another country has treated them poorly. Like America. I'm not saying it's right, because it's not. It's not right for what Hamas did. I do absolutely condemn what they did. But on the same hand, you can see how they got there. You can see how this came to be. Because 80 years of oppression, that messes with people. Everyone that's alive in Gaza right now, none of them were alive when the occupation started. None of them. Like right now, they're shooting fish in a barrel, is what they're doing. There's a cage of humans that they're just bombing, and there's nowhere for them to go. Could you imagine that? Could you imagine being in a place that no matter where you ran, there is no safety. There's no food, there's no water, there's no medicine. You're on your own. That's it. You're on your own. I couldn't imagine that. The absolute fear and terror that's entailed in that, I could not imagine that. And I don't think anyone should have to go through that. Because what Netanyahu is doing right now is not necessary. He did not have to go and start bombing indiscriminately. There's other ways to go about that. The more I read about history, the more I realize this is Netanyahu's plan all along. Destroy and take over. Because settlers on the West Bank have been killing innocent Palestinians. There's no Hamas there. They're killing innocent Palestinians and taking over their land. Justify that one. There's a lot in this war that you can't really justify. It's not, the means, the punishment does not justify the crime. It really doesn't. And I think we need to take a really long look at this, because there's a lot of people out there that are doing the Israeli government's bidding for them by calling everyone anti-Semitic when they're not. And making it so, and Netanyahu himself is making Jewish people all over the world less safe. He is making Jewish people less safe. So, really, he needs to stop, because he's the one that's creating a lot of problems right now.
I'm Marion Ingram. I am here with thousands upon thousands of other human beings expressing our fervent hope that Israel stops the genocide in Gaza. It is unconscionable to kill 15,000 children and sit back, snug in your bed. I also want to address this to Mr. Biden. Mr. Biden, stop dancing to Netanyahu's dance. You cannot afford to plunge us into being contributors to this insane, horrific, murderous slaughter. I am an angry Holocaust survivor. I will not be quiet until Israel stops this murderous onslaught. There's no excuse for killing children. Self-defense is not killing children. I am really very angry. I am very upset. It is incumbent on Israel to stop this, and of Jews in particular to behave the way Nazis behaved. It's not acceptable. Stop this war.
Tell me what you think in the comments down below. Subscribe if you're new. Thanks for watching.